Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss about movements along the demand curve. So first of all, we will see what is movement along the demand curve. Here, movement along the demand curve means a person will be demanding same commodities but at different quantities. When the price is less, he will buy more of the same commodity, and when the price is more, he will buy the same commodity but at a less quantity. That was explained here. So now we will see the definition of movement along the demand curve. Movement along the demand curve occurs when there is change in quantity demanded of goods due to change in price. When the price increases or decreases, there will be change in the demand. So demand changes. So that was explained by movement along the demand curve. Movement along the demand curve that depicts the change in both the factors. It shows the change that takes place in two factors, that is price and quantity demanded from one point to another. So from one point to another, the changes takes place, whatever the changes takes place with the price and quantity demanded, that was explained here. So other things remain unchanged. That whatever changes that takes place in demand due to change in price of the product or services, that results in movement of the demand curve. Now we will see the diagram. So in this diagram we can see that the original quantity demanded is 80 and original price is 12. Here, when the price declined to 8, quantity demanded increased to 100. And when price is increased to 16, quantity demanded is reduced to 60. So when the price increased to 16, quantity demanded has been reduced to 60. So this is called as, so this point is called as contraction in demand. Okay, contraction in demand. And when the price is reduced, there is increase in the demand, that means there is expansion in demand. So this explains the expansion in demand. So now we will see the forms of movement along the demand curve. There are mainly two forms. One is contraction in demand and another one is expansion in demand. So first we will see what is contraction in demand. An increase in the price causes movement along the demand curve. Here price will rise and demand will fall. So such situation we are calling as contraction in demand. So here there will be upward movement in demand curve. So here you can see that in the diagram the demand curve is moving towards upward. Same demand curve will be similar. So here you can see upward movement. An increase in the price, as I already explained, it was explained while explaining the diagram. Here when the price was increased from 12 to 16, the demand curve or the quantity demanded, that was fallen from 80 to 60. So here there will be upward movement in demand curve. So expansion in demand, a fall in price may lead to an expansion in demand. So price will fall and there will be increase in quantity demanded. So here when the price falls, more commodities are bought or more commodity is purchased by the customers. So here you can see the downward movement of demand curve. See here in the diagram, here downward movement in demand curve happens. So a fall in price from 12 to 8 may cause an increase in demand. In the diagram we have already seen that there is fall in price, and because of that reason demand was increased to 100. So this is one of the example of expansion of demand. So in simple words, movement along the demand curve can be in any of two directions. It happens in two directions. One is upward movement, another one is downward movement. Upward movement in demand curve happens in case of contraction in demand, and downward movement that happens in case of expansion. So we have seen that here there will be upward movement this side, so this is contraction. Downward movement here, this is expansion in demand curve. So here upward movement and this one is downward movement. So now we will see the differences which exist between movement in demand curve and shift in demand curve. So first is meaning. Movement in demand curve is when the commodity experience change in both quantity demanded and price. Here changes happens in quantity demanded because of change in the price. So at that time, the demand curve that moves in a specific direction, which was explained by movement in demand curve. In case of shift in demand curve, the shift in demand curve is when the price of commodity remains constant. Here, price remains constant, but changes occurs in other factors other than price. So that results in shift in demand curve. So demand curve will be shifted to particular side. So here you can see demand curve. Here there will be contraction as well as expansion in case of movement in demand curve. Through this diagram you can see. And here this is the diagram of shift in demand curve. Here see here rightward shift as well as leftward shift in demand curve happens in case of shift in demand curve. So next basis for comparison is movement in demand curve. In case of that, what it is. So here change happens along the curve. Here along with the curve itself changes happens. Here in curve itself we can see the contractions as well as expansions. Whereas in case of shift in demand curve, change in the position of the curve. We can see that here there will be original demand curve. Here demand curve can be shifted to this side or this side. So change happens in the position of the curve. In case of another basis for comparison is determinants. Here movement in demand curve, here change happens in the price, and because of that reason the quantity demanded changes. So what is the determinants we are considering here? Price. And in case of shift in demand curve, we are considering non-price, that is apart from price, all those factors which affects the demand, that is considered here. What it indicates? So here change in quantity demanded. In case of movement in demand curve, we are going to explain only one thing, that is changes which occurs in the quantity demanded. Here for example, the price changes or price increased. At that time quantity demanded, person will demand the same commodity, but he will demand what? He will demand less commodity. When price reduces, person demands same commodity, but quantity demanded will be more. Okay, that is explained in moment in demand curve. When it comes to shift in demand curve, they are going to explain about the change in demand. Here person, for example, now person's income that is increased. Initially he is buying one commodity. Okay, he is buying one commodity which is less qualitative. Okay, which is less qualitative. Now his income is more, so he will not buy that commodity, he will buy some other commodity. Take an example that he is buying B commodity now, because it is of more quality. Now his income is more, so he is buying that commodity. So here change in demand for goods, that is initially he is buying particular commodity, but now he will shift his preferences towards some other commodity. So now what is the result? Demand curve will move upward or downward in case of movement in demand curve. In case of shift in demand curve will shift rightward or leftward. You can see that demand curve will be like that. It will shift rightward or leftward in case of shift in demand curve. So this is about this video. Thank you for watching this video.